Hey guys, it's Jacqueline and welcome back to another speed build in The Sims 4. Today's video is this kind of like quirky cottage thing we're building in Windenburg again. By the way, this is my third build in a row in Windenburg and I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm just so obsessed with this world for whatever reason. Like, it's just a nice world, you know? It's a very nice world in my humble personal opinion, and I don't know why I've like neglected it for quite a while. Like, I haven't built anything here for a while before I did my house on a hill build, tiny house on a hill build. I don't know, or that's a lie. I had done one here pretty recently, but like just in general, I don't build here enough, I think. So that's why there's a lot of builds happening here lately, but I also think that this is the perfect place for a nice cottage build, and I think Nifty knitting just goes really well with the cottage theme. So this is my official love to knit build, my best attempt at making this pack work. So we'll have a discussion in a little while about what I think of the pack, because I mentioned some thoughts in my last video, but I have more thoughts and I want to speak about all of them. So that will go on in this voiceover. I also want to apologize. This is my second time through recording this because I'm a disaster and the first one was so bad and I don't even want to talk about it. So it's a mess because usually I scrap my voiceovers if they're terrible, and I like am able to catch on to the fact that they're bad, so I scrap them by like, I don't know, maybe the 8-minute, 10-minute mark. But this time I just went through the whole 22 minutes and then I got back to the end of it and I was like, oh, it was so bad, so we gotta do it again. So here we are doing it again, and let's cross our fingers and hope my computer does not run out of battery before we finish it, because that would be just such a colossal mess. I don't even want to think about it, but yeah. Anyways, so basically the story behind this cottage, or what's going on with it, is that it's based on a reference picture. Now this reference picture I have had in my Pinterest since like I want to say January. It was very early on into the process of our fan voting for this pack that like basically I think immediately after we knew that the theme of the pack was going to be knitting, that is when I found this picture, and it was just in my Pinterest one day and I was like, you know, we're getting a knitting pack. And this picture had a rocking chair in the front yard, and I knew rocking chairs were a thing that was going to be coming with the pack, and it also had a basket in the front yard, and because I had like knitting on my mind, right, I was like, oh, it's a yarn basket, right? So that was like my immediate thought when I saw this basket, and I hadn't really revisited this picture until I went back to it today to look at it to start building this cottage. And oh boy, something weird is going on with this picture, let me tell you, because I'll put it in the screenshots actually, I think, because I want you guys to see it and like tell me what you think, because if I'm not mistaken, the basket in the front yard does not in fact contain yarn. It contains gloves and a crowbar, and I just want to know why. Why are there gloves and a crowbar in the basket on the front lawn? What is going on in this house? Is it like, I don't know, because a crowbar I usually associate with like a murderer or an axe-wielding maniac or something, or a crowbar-wielding maniac, I guess, but like why, you know? Why is it there? I just have so many questions. So that is what's going on with the reference picture, which I attempted to recreate this build from. And then the other thing I will say about the reference picture, like I said, I saw it, I saved it, and then I didn't really revisit it until I went back to try to build this, and oh boy, it's a bad house. It really is. So the reference picture is actually a piece of artwork, like it's not an actual picture of a house. So because of that, I feel like when you're doing artwork, it's a lot easier to make a really simple house and it still looks like snazzy, you know, it still looks cute. In real life, houses kind of have to be a little fancier in order for them to look good, which also applies in The Sims, I feel like. So it was just a very simple house pretty much, and I was kind of disappointed because I like had this idea in my head of this great house that I was going to recreate as soon as I got Nifty knitting, and then you know, I tried to recreate it, but it was just really simple, so I ended up sort of adding on some things to make it look a bit fancier, and I think it looks really nice. The way it turns out, it's definitely, like I said, very quirky, kind of out there. I don't think you'd have like your standard family living here. I mean, I have a pretty distinct idea of who lives here in my mind, but we won't really go into that much because like it's not like it's a family home or anything. Like there's not an extensive storyline behind The Sims. I just can kind of like picture them in my head. But it is only a single bedroom house, so it's not like you could necessarily have a family living here. I mean, you could obviously fit in like multiple beds if you wanted to, but overall, I would say this is pretty like, it's a pretty small house to try to fit a family into. But it's just for some crafters, some nice crafty crafting Sims, and I kind of assumed just because like the fact that the pack has a Plopsy like feature to it, I kind of assumed that they would sell their crafts on Plopsy, and they knit a lot, and they do other crafts as well. I put in like the candle making station and the flower arranging table and all that stuff. I believe that when I watched the live stream, the gameplay live stream for Love to Knit, they said that, or Love to Knit, yikes, can we all just assume that that's like, or agree, like can we agree as a community, as the Sims community, that it's just called Love to Knit? In our hearts and souls it's called Love to Knit, but like in real life it's called Nifty Knitting. So like when you're with the normies, when you're with a person that like doesn't really get the meme, we call it Nifty Knitting, but like it's Love to Knit, you know? So anyways, in Nifty Knitting, there is the Plopsy thingy, and they said in the live stream for it that you could sell all of those things that I mentioned, like candles, and I think they said you couldn't sell fabrications, but I didn't put a fabricator in here anyway, but you could sell the flower arrangements and like your knitting things and all that stuff, probably paintings as well, I'm assuming. So overall, I tried to do like a lot of stuff in here that you'd be able to sell on Plopsy, because I just assume that the people that live here are like very crafty people, you know, like they pretty much just craft their entire lives away, and it's really a peaceful existence. I think that would be pretty fun. But that's pretty much what's going on here, I guess. So like I told you about this disastrous crowbar in the reference picture, I don't really know what's going on with that. I just have a lot of questions. But besides that, the other notable thing to mention about the reference picture, like I said, is that it's just very boring. And so I was quite indecisive with this house. Like once I realized that I was pretty much gonna have to pull a lot of it out of my own mind instead of like directly copying a picture, which was my original plan, and I was kind of like not really that worried about the build for that reason, I was very indecisive. Like I cut out so much from this video of me just like sitting on a specific spot and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling through items. I don't know why I did that so many times. I just had a really hard time. I think it's because Nifty Knitting is like kind of a wild pack, like to make items look good with. So you have to like look very hard for stuff that will sort of blend in and look cohesive with it, I guess. I think that might be the main reason. And I've been going through a bit of builder's block for like quite a while now. It's a little frustrating. I don't really know what to do about that, but like, you know, what can you do, I guess? Because also the other thing about my like current building habits is that I keep starting builds and then never finishing them, and it's like, what a mess, you know? Because I have so many like kind of nice builds that I want to finish, but I just don't have any motivation because I start them once and then I'm like, you know, am I gonna finish this? Probably not, but it could have been a nice build, you know? So I'll finish a lot of them at some point, I'm sure, but like at the moment I just don't really feel like revisiting anything that I've already started, and a lot of them are like bigger projects as well, which is why I didn't finish them in like 1 or 2 sittings. So we'll see how that goes, I guess. But anyways, yeah, this is a super long video anyway, considering that it's for a 1-bedroom cottage, and it's just a mess, honestly. I don't know how to like make them shorter. I try, I really do. I feel like this has been a topic that's come up in voiceovers a lot recently. My videos just end up being so long for some reason. I don't know why. Like, it's not like I put a particularly lot of detail into my builds, although I guess we're at the 8-minute mark and still on the exterior, so maybe I put a lot of detail into my builds, but like, oh well, you know, what can you do? So yeah, I don't know. I'm just trying to shorten stuff a little bit, but with this one also, like I said, I was very, very indecisive with it. One very indecisive gal, so that is probably why this one ended up being so long, but I'm working on shortening them, and also I'm trying recently, not in this video, I didn't do a good job of it at all in this video, but I'm trying to make my videos more like relaxing and smooth to watch by not really moving the camera as much, if that makes sense, because I feel like I have a tendency to sort of like spin the camera around or like just move a lot, which isn't really a thing. Like if you do speed builds, you'll know it's not really a thing you're supposed to do because it makes the videos kind of hard to watch. So I'm trying to stop doing that so much, but I kind of failed in this video, but I was having a really hard time making decisions, so that's why I failed. And yeah, that's what's going on there, I guess. But I kind of forgot what I was talking about, so I guess now we'll just like dive into my discussion of Nifty Knitting and like thoughts and stuff, and feel free, or please don't feel free, I'm actually demanding that you tell me what you think of it because I really want to know, and I've heard like a kind of mixed reviews from people. In general, the consensus seems to be somewhat negative, unfortunately, but like overall, I just want to hear what everybody has to say, I guess, because I would assume that there's at least some people that like the pack, even if like it's not a fan favorite or anything like that. So let me know what you think of it, but I guess my thoughts are kind of scattered at the moment, and I think a lot of it is sort of contingent on like certain issues that I haven't really seen if they're planning on sorting out or not. Like, for example, Plopsy is kind of one of the main like gameplay elements of the pack. So I'd say the main gameplay elements of the pack are probably Nifty knitting, just knitting, and Plopsy. And so the fact that Plopsy has seemed to be very glitchy for a lot of people, I haven't actually played with it myself, and I haven't really watched that many like game changer videos, but I have watched just videos in general from a fair amount of people that have played with Plopsy or attempted it, and I've heard like, you know, on Twitter and stuff that it seems to be really glitchy. So if that's an issue, I think that's a problem, because if it's like one of the main selling points of the pack and then it's not really like working or very functional, yeah, I don't think that's good. I think that is definitely an issue. So if they're going to fix stuff like that and like make sure that it's a good pack and sort of holds out for all of the qualities that like you're pretty much promised when you buy it, then I think that will be like a positive on its side. But for now, I'd say the really like the positive element of it for me is just the actual knitting itself. I think it's a really fun hobby to have your Sims do, and I have to say that I might have a slight negative bias just because I never would have like voted for this. Had it been me like deciding everything, I wouldn't really have ended up doing an arts and crafts pack, I don't think. I love making like artist or creative Sims, and I love like making houses for them and stuff, but I don't know, I think the one that I voted for as like my first choice was the like health and fitness, possibly like the health and fitness kind of like overarching theme, I think. And then I believe arts and crafts is the one that won, obviously, and then within that we got to vote like which specific kind of craft we would like to do, and we ended up with knitting. So I think that I might have a slight bias just in general against the pack for that reason, because I never would have like chosen knitting, but like since it is what we got, I guess I can evaluate it on a pretty even playing field, or like without much bias. I would say that I like knitting as like a gameplay feature. I think it's a lot of fun, and I have actually like played with the sim knitting a bit, and I think the knittables that you can make are so cute, the ones that you unlock in debug and stuff. I love those items. Like, I'm putting an octopus on the little shelf right now, actually, or I think my voiceover might be kind of behind where I am in the video. I'm sorry, I had a weird thing happen just a few seconds ago where like, I don't know. Anyways, my editor glitched out. Nothing new. So anyways, the point is that I really like the knittables and that kind of stuff, and I in general like the fact that you can knit items and have them be like still a functional thing. Like, you knit toys and you can knit your clothing items and stuff. I think that's a cool, it adds a layer of depth to the pack. What I don't like specifically about that is that when you knit an object, it unlocks in the debug menu, and so if you unlock the debug menu, which is like what I do, because I very rarely do gameplay, I primarily am a builder, so because of that, mainly when I'm using this pack, I'm gonna have the debug menu open. And so when you have the debug menu open and you're scrolling through all of the Nifty knitting stuff, each individual item and every single colorway that it comes in, like that you can possibly knit it in, is an individual item in the catalog, instead of having it be one item and then having like multiple colorways or multiple swatches on it, which I think would have been the way to go about it, because in Create a Sim they made a whole new UI where they like, you have a clothing item and then it'll have the like a lock or like be faded out over the swatches that you can't use. I think if they had done that with the build items, it would have been so much better. And they did the same thing with Eco Lifestyle, by the way, so this isn't like Nifty Knitting unique problem, and it's not like, by no means does it ruin the pack for me, I wouldn't say, because I love Eco Lifestyle so much and it does that as well. But so like it's just a lot of work to scroll through all of those items. I wish they hadn't done that, but I understand why they did it. I just feel like if they were going to make a new UI for cast, like, why not make a new one for build? It feels the same to me, to be honest. So yeah, I wish they had done that, and I hope that at some point they just do an overhaul of the catalog, because honestly it's getting so cluttered at this point. Like, I mean, maybe that's just me, that's probably such a like entitled thing to complain about. There's so many items in the catalog, woe is me, I have all the packs, but like there's a lot of stuff at this point. Like, you kind of, at least personally, whenever I know a specific item that I'm looking for, I don't even bother to scroll anymore. I pretty much just like always filter by pack so that I can find what I want. So yeah, I feel like that's just like a general issue that's coming up with the game more lately, but I think it does apply to this pack, like particularly in, like I was saying, with the debug items, because having debug items, like having them unlocked and having those in your catalog makes your catalog hugely exhausting to scroll through. So the fact that those just add like so much space to it when they really don't need to, or sorry, they take away so much space from it when they really don't need to, kind of gets to me a little bit. But that's one complaint. I know I kind of mentioned that last time as well, so I don't mean to be too repetitive with it. The other thing I have to say, which I also said last time, is the swatches, the wood tones. Oh boy. So they are very, very bright colored, and I just like brightness in general is not really my color scheme. Like, I prefer neutrals or like a nice cool blue color scheme. Sometimes I go for warmer color schemes, which is sort of what I did in this one. Like, I used a lot of the orange accents and stuff like that. So it's not that I have any kind of hatred for color schemes that are more bright like this. I just feel like, especially since this is the point that it comes down to for me mainly, I think, especially since this was a fan voted stuff pack, it really should not be so niche, is my opinion, because if we all voted for something, this is like the result, right, of what everybody wanted, okay? So I just don't think it should be so specific, because generally my perspective with stuff packs particularly is that they're always made to be the kind of thing that like you only buy if you're into that, you know? Or like, I mean, if you're like me, you buy everything because you have no self-control, but like in general, they're not really, like, the game isn't made for everybody to have every single pack. Like, it's made for you to have the packs that you think would enhance your gameplay and with like items you like and stuff like that, right? So that's usually my perspective on stuff packs, but this is literally a pack where they went to the community directly and they asked for everybody's input, and they like still somehow we ended up with something that I just think most people aren't going to use. And the other thing I have to say about that is I hope I didn't already mention this in this build or in this voiceover, because I mentioned it in my original attempt at this voiceover, but who actually voted for DIY Delights? Like, genuinely, because I don't think I've heard of anybody that actually voted for DIY Delights. Like, I genuinely don't think I've talked to a single person that voted for that theme. And personally, I think if we had ended up with like Cozy Corner or something, it would have been so much better just in terms of the color scheme and the versatility and all of that stuff. I just think it would have been such a more usable pack, if that makes sense. So I just want to talk. Does anybody have the address of the people that voted for DIY Delights? I just want to talk. But sorry, I'm obviously kidding, because I have nothing against you. Like, if that's your style, go for it, and obviously you can vote for whatever you think would be the best pack. But I'm just genuinely, like, I haven't seen anybody that actually has said that they voted for it, and I didn't really see, like, I haven't seen many positive reviews of this color scheme and stuff, so I'm just kind of curious about like how that ended up being the theme of the pack, if that makes sense, since I really don't know that many people, if anybody, that would really consider this their first choice, especially when you put the Cozy Corner option, which is my personal favorite, up for debate, and then also Granny Chic. I know a lot of people liked that one as well, so I don't know. I'm just a little kind of so about the theme in general, and I think that was a major hindrance to the pack, because even if the gurus wanted to do something or go in a different direction, they really couldn't, because like obviously since it's a vote, they have to go with what we voted for. But that's where I just like kind of feel like nobody's ever going to be fully happy, you know? So if it's like just me and I happen to be seeing a lot of people that aren't really happy with it, but like the majority of people are, then I kind of feel like, okay, it's just like, you know, somebody is always going to be unhappy with whatever ends up happening. But I just haven't seen that many people that are really genuinely enjoying this pack in terms of the color scheme and like the versatility of particularly the build objects. So that's my thought on that, I guess. And so they're my main like points about that, I'd say. But I do think there's a lot of redeeming items that I really like in this pack, and I do like just the feature of having your Sims be able to knit. I mean, not that knitting is like a huge thing in my life or anything. Like, I crocheted a blanket like oh my god, like half a year ago at this point. That is disturbing. I hate time. I wanted to slow down. But yeah, the point is I don't really knit that much. I mean, I learned how to from my grandma, but you know, I just know the basic like in, over, around, and through thing. I don't actually know how to do purling or like, you know, patterns or anything like that. But the point that I'm making here is that I think that the whole knitting thing is like a cute feature to have, but I would just say that in general it's not really, you know, it's not really a totally redeeming feature of the pack. Like, if you're going to buy it just for the knitting, I would say hold off, and like it'll probably go on sale at some point, so you get it then. That is probably my like main consensus of this. It's a good pack, buy it when it's on sale, but I wouldn't necessarily say at the moment that it's worth the full price. However, I would say that if you have certain packs, like for example Parenthood, I think goes really well with this pack, and let's see what else. I think that University actually, weirdly enough, goes well with it. Tiny Living definitely has a lot of like the same wood colors, so if you have a lot of those kind of packs, then I would say, you know, you're probably better off buying this pack than if you don't have those kind of packs. Like I wouldn't, if you just have base game in this pack, and it's not a standalone pack is what I'm like getting at here. It's definitely not a pack where you buy it and you feel like, oh, my game is so much more full now, which I think is something you could say of a lot of stuff packs. Like Tiny Living, I'm obsessed with that stuff pack. I think it might be my favorite stuff pack as far as they go. And even certain like older packs like Vintage Glamour I think is a really good pack. And yeah, so those are my like main qualms with it, I guess. But I really have nothing else to say about that or about the build, and I have done a stupid thing here, and I cannot see where I should technically be in the video right now because once again my editor has gone kind of crazy, so I'm sorry, but I don't know what point or like what's happening in the video right now. So for all I know, we could be in the screenshots. So I'm just gonna stop talking now. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, you can leave a like and comment to let me know. Subscribe and click the bell for notifications if you want to see more videos and get notified every single time that I upload a video. And if you like this build and want to play in it, it will be up in the gallery. My origin ID is in the description. That is all. Thank you so much for watching, and bye.